The invitation came not from a diplomat, but directly from the Oval Office. Donald Trump called and Mark Carney answered. For the first time in this tense trade war, the American president was setting the table, raising expectations that this meeting could finally deliver something positive for Canada. The goal was clear and critical. Sources hinted that a potential breakthrough, a sign that the economic pain being felt on both sides was creating new urgency. But in any negotiations with Ding Dong Donnie, hope is tempered by a stark reality. His unpredictability is the only thing that is predictable. So, when the doors closed in Washington, what was really achieved? Were tangible gains secured for Canada, or was it merely a strategic performance? Tonight we are cutting through the photo ops and the pleasantries to uncover the real outcome of this high-stake meeting. Mark Carney set the stage about the relationship between the US and Canada.
We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we're cooperating, first thing. Secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the President just said, where conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
Now, listen to this perverted Trump statement.
From that meeting.
Well, we certainly seem to be, Donald Trump set the expectation that there could be something positive for Canada coming out of this. Mark Carney, the Canadian delegation, arriving here amidst this ongoing battle to try and get some tariff relief. Sources speaking to CBC News leading up to this trip had sort of set the expectation that it was possible there could be some lowering of certain tariffs, particularly around steel. But no one was willing to tell us that, that was a for sure thing because Donald Trump is so unpredictable. We just played some clips there. That's the show part of this visit. Now the leaders are going to get down to the actual working part of this visit, holding that lunch. And, Donald Trump suggesting Canada could walk away with something that could be very positive here. Certainly Canada was coming into this moment really trying to get some certainty, some clarity, and some relief on these punishing tariffs that have been applied across a broad sector of the Canadian economy, causing so much chaos and so much trouble when it comes to, making investments and protecting jobs and all of those things that Canadians are so deeply concerned about. Have a listen to how President Donald Trump spoke about this moment and what it is perhaps that Canada might get a chance to walk away with here.
Mr. Carney, you leaving Washington with a deal on tariffs?
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on that people don't talk about. They talk about, competitiveness. She's a very competitive person. And they talk about...
I wonder what Trump thinks, what it is that would make us Canadians happy. Diamond Eisinger, former advisor on Canadian-US relations in the Prime Minister's office under Justin Trudeau.
Actually solidified. So I think it's important for Canadians to be willing to hold out a bit for the right deal as opposed to the quickest possible deal, particularly because while there is short-term pain for businesses and Canadians, the worst outcome would be years and years of pain through a poor deal that we reach together.
Okay, so...
Yes, the right deal, not a quick deal that would paralyze us for a long time. Here is Diamond Eisinger's opinion about our CUSMA situation.
For Americans just as much as it may be a challenge for Canadians.
Do you think it's possible we could end up with bilateral agreements instead of a trilateral trade agreement that we have right now? Would that be better or worse for Canada if we did go that route?
It's hard to say if it would be better or worse. I mean, ultimately, the devil's in the details, or the reality of the agreement is in the text of that agreement. There have been discussions over the last years about, at different points, Mexico or Canada having the better standing with the United States to try to broker something one-on-one with American partners. Ultimately, I believe we are strongest as a North American trading bloc and unit. The opportunity, especially given the integrated nature of our jobs, our supply chains, particularly in the automotive sector, to suggest that we can carve off for example, Mexico from that and just focus on Canada and the US might be ignoring just those fundamental business realities.
Are you?
I think she's right. We are much stronger in a trilateral negotiation with Ding Dong Donny. And don't forget, Canada has already a ratified trade agreement with Mexico. Well, I am so glad to know that Canadians' happiness is on Donald Trump's mind.
And then Americans don't want to buy cars that are made in Canada, you know? I mean, we have the same conflict. So there isn't, it's something that will get worked out. There's still great love between the two countries. But you'll find out, but I think the people of Canada, they will love us again.
Now, Trump didn't explain why he thinks Canadians will soon be feeling the love, but said he was hopeful they could reach a new trade deal that both countries will be happy with. Global's Mackenzie Gray is traveling with the Prime Minister tonight. Mackenzie.
While there were no concrete conclusions, Jeff, there were plenty of compliments and kindness between Mark Carney and Donald Trump.
He could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that. No, he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he can be nasty.
You kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time, you are a transformative president.
Not even a 51st state reference could derail the camaraderie.
This is, in many respects, the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going.
The fact is...
But as much as the president likes Carney, he likes tariffs more.
If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too.
Claiming both countries are in a natural economic conflict.
We want to make our cars here. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars. So we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there.
Canadian officials had told Global News in advance of the meetings they weren't expecting any major announcements, even though the president opened the door to some tariff relief.
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on that people don't talk about.
And if you think all this has a familiar look, you are not mistaken.
Katie Simpson joins us now from the White House. So, Katie, there does appear to be optimism, momentum, but it also feels like we've seen this before without a breakthrough.
Yeah, Canadians have seen this movie in the past, thinking that something is imminent, something is close, and then it just doesn't quite come together. The feeling in the Oval Office today was very similar to that first meeting between Prime Minister Carney and President Trump. They clearly have a decent personal relationship. They joke with one another. It's respectful. But while that is important, it hasn't led to any sort of significant breakthrough that perhaps those in the Prime Minister's office had been hoping for. Think about what's changed from that first meeting until now. There are more tariffs, there are higher tariffs, and there are threats of new tariffs. And in addition to the relationship seeming to be in a better place, Canada's made significant concessions. Think about the investments in border security, in defense spending, Canada getting rid of the digital services tax, lowering counter tariffs. All of those things meant to be goodwill measures. And so far, it hasn't resulted in any good things for Canada just yet.
So, as the talks continue then, what's your sense of what Canadians should be watching for?
Going into next year, if there isn't some sort of major breakthrough, it's going to make the renegotiation of CUSMA, the Canada-US-Mexico deal, even more difficult. Trump is expected to use tariffs as sort of a threat and a tool to try and extract more concessions out of his trading partners, Canada and Mexico. And so it will take this already brutal situation, possibly twist it and make it even more difficult.
And if Mark Carney can't make a deal with Trump, then perhaps Doug Ford has the right idea.
Trump, but there has to be a point that if Prime Minister Carney can't get a deal we have to start hitting back. We need to hit back hard. We can't continuously decline tariffs, and President Trump increases tariffs, no matter if it's 10% on our lumber industry, softwood lumber, or if it's 25% on furniture or cabinets. I visited a lot of furniture companies and cabinet manufacturers, and I know one thing: we buy a tremendous amount of furniture off the U.S. and as well as cabinets, but we also ship cabinets down to the U.S. But we can't just keep rolling over to President Trump. As he strengthens his case, we seem to be weakening our case by continuously pulling off tariffs. I'd take a different approach.
We have to stand up to this bully who bullies the people, us Canadians, and you guys, the citizens of the USA. Ding dong donny tariffs have led to inflation in the US. And if you Americans want to stop inflation, you have an option. Make a deal with Canada.
I think we take an approach that let's get a deal. If the Americans want to see inflation stop, you make a deal with Canada. You want to see the economy grow, make a deal with Canada. That's what we need to do, because it will hurt both countries if we don't. But you sure don't sit back and get beat up by a bully every single day. It's like a kid going to the schoolyard and getting punched in the face every day. It's time to hit back if he can't get a deal. Maybe Prime Minister Carney knows something I don't know. And if that's the case, he should sit down with the premiers and explain that. That's what he needs to do.
Cut off the power back on the table.
But if the disaster administration still thinks it is a good idea to terrorize Canada with tariffs, well, I would like to refer to Doug Ford again. And please keep in mind, I am not exactly a Doug Ford fan. But when he's right, he's right.
Well, what we need to do is use that energy to be more competitive. If he wants to shut down every single industry, President Trump, we're going to need the energy. We're giving the U.S. energy at an extremely low cost. We're keeping 1.5 million lights on and businesses open in New York and Michigan and Minnesota, and I know other provinces are doing the same thing. Let's start giving it to our manufacturers. They work a night shift, off hours, off peak hours. Maybe they want to shift some manufacturing and get their electricity at a much lower cost. I'd rather support our Ontario manufacturers than support our neighbors south of the border that are competing against us, and President Trump constantly attacking our economy, attacking our people.
Honestly, I don't think this is a bad idea. I always opposed to announce counter tariffs from our side, because, as we all know, tariffs are an import tax on consumers. And we don't need to increase cost of living for our Canadian citizens. Instead, restrict access to goods the US really needs from us. Don't you agree with me that there is just too much light lately in New York? And here is Doug Ford again.
People, I have a solution. My solution is every time they hit us, we hit them back. Or we just keep getting rolled over and rolled over. They have to feel the pain. The Americans have to feel the pain. And then you'll get a reaction from President Trump. But again, if you just let a bully just run over you constantly and you don't hit back, we'll be sitting here with no jobs. The Americans will have the jobs. And maybe the Prime Minister will sit back and think, what the heck did I do? I'm just telling you what I would do. I would hit back against President Trump when he's going after the sectors like the cabinet manufacturers, furniture manufacturers, our great lumber industry that we ship 30% down to the U.S. And guess what? The Americans are going to pay the price. The costs are going up. Very early that he did it, and it did hurt the American economy. And we can't sit back. We have two choices, folks. You sit back and let Trump run the country, roll us over, and we bow down to the guy. That's not what Doug Ford believes. We sit there and fight like we've never fought before. We make sure...
Beyond the handshakes and the public compliments, we are left to decipher what this meeting truly meant. The fundamental question remains, what is the ultimate objective of the disaster administration? Is it the renegotiation of CUSMA, or is it the border? More unsettling rhetoric about annexations and the repatriation of Canadian jobs? Evidence suggests a strategy of pressure on all fronts. Yet there are signs that this pressure is creating a counterforce. The rising costs for American consumers and businesses, a direct result of Trump's tariffs, becoming impossible to ignore. What we witnessed was a display of diplomatic necessity. Prime Minister Mark Carney engaged as he needed to, but engagement is not endorsement. Canada entered this talk from a position of strength and principle, not desperation. We will measure success not by words exchanged in the Oval Office, but by concrete actions that follow. The economic sovereignty and well-being of Canadians are not bargain chips. For Canada, the path forward is clear. Increasing interprovincial trade and diversity. But that is Mark Carney's job. Canadian businesses can do their part too. Because relying on the US for trade, that is already a story for the history books. Canadian businesses need to do what Mark Carney is doing and what we, everyday Canadians, are doing extremely successfully. Boycotting American businesses. Don't buy or sell to Americans. It is not a reliable market. Instead, do your own reconnaissance and look for a new trading partner outside of the US. Call Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. What is your outlook on all of this? But in the meantime, continue the boycott. It is more important now than it has ever been. And if you want to support this channel, please like and subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Till next time, I'm Wilfried Lemkuller from Europe Curious.
You by our side, and we spent so many nights thinking how you did us wrong. Now we've banded all together. Your tariff made us strong, and so you know you're not so great. There's not a snowball's chance in hell will be your 51st state. You really need our resources far more than we need you, so now just go. Walk out the door. We do not need you. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who instigated these trade fights? You'll soon grow to regret it when we turn off your lights and it does. We as long as we can think and what we know will stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. There's bloodshed. It's time anew. We're not that fledgling little country stealing all of you. We are now a nation proud that is happy to be free. You didn't realize you gave us our own identity, so now just go. We will survive. As long as we can think and work, we know we'll stay alive. Yeah, but all we really need, we can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. We will survive.
51st state, my fucking ass. Go on, Canada.